Hello, Spirit House here. Um, Reading from The Secret of Light by Walter Russell. It's part 2, titled Omnipotence, and it's chapter 3, entitled The Law of Balance. The underlying law of creation is rhythmic balanced interchange in all transactions in nature. It is the one principle on which the continuity of the universe depends. Likewise, it is the one principle on which the continuity of man's transactions, his health and happiness depend. It is the manifestation of God's two opposing desires in all processes of creation. Balance is the principle of unity, of oneness. In it is the stability which lies in cause. Balance is the foundation of the universe. Balanced interchange simulates oneness by interchanging between pairs of opposites. It is the principle of equality, giving between all moving pairs of unbalanced opposites, which constitute this dual electric universe. In it is the instability of effect. Instability is forever seeking to find stability. It can never find it, but it can simulate it by balancing its instability through equality of interchange. Rhythmic balanced interchange is the principle of continuity of effect. Balanced interchange between opposites repeats simulation of stability, and rhythmic balanced interchange continues that repetition. Obedience to the one law is absolute. Rhythmic balanced interchange is the inviolate law which must be obeyed. Nature persistently violates it, and nature instantly pays the price of its violations in its storms, tornadoes, crashing avalanche, and tragedy of field, forest, and jungle. Man persistently violates it and instantly pays the price of his violation in his crashing business failures, enmities, unhappiness, and illness. All the storms of earth cannot affect the balance of the earth, for balance in the universe cannot be upset. The Earth continues in its fixed balanced orbit with so much precision that its position can be determined at any time to the split second. If the Earth disobeyed this law by the slightest variance, its oceans would sweep its continents clear of all living and growing things. Man must pay for disobedience. Man's disobedience to the law cannot affect the balance of man in his whole journey, for every unbalanced action of his must eventually be balanced. Man is on his own way to his cosmic goal of oneness with his Creator, and which he can in no way deviate from that fixed orbit which will eventually take him to his destination of glory in the high heavens. By disobeying the law, he is but hurting himself while on this journey, but he must make the journey and must balance every unbalanced action while on the way. It is as though a man on a great ocean liner disobeyed the laws of the ship. In spite of his disobedience, the ship is taking him to his destination, and he must go with it. Likewise, he has hurt himself by lessening the happiness of his journey. The whole principle of creation lies in equal giving. The oneness of the light is divided into an equal and opposite two, and all interchange between the two must be equal in their giving. God's division of the light into a seeming two is manifested in nature by electric waves of two opposing lights, springing from the still sea of God's magnetic light, just as waves of water spring from the still ocean. The outstanding characteristic of waves is that they forever interchange. Troughs become crests, and crests become troughs. Gravity pressure above and below their axis is equal. So long as equality of interchange continues rhythmically, waves repeat their interchange. When the sloping sand at the beach prevents this equality of rhythmic balanced interchange, the waves accumulate unbalance until they crash on the shore. Every transaction in human relations either continues or discontinues in accordance with obedience or disobedience to this one law. A man who sells and gives less value for what is given to him lays the foundation for his own wreckage. He finds it even harder to sell and loses many purchasers by gaining their ill will. He who gives equally for what is given to him multiplies his purchasers and prospers by gaining their goodwill. The pulse beat, the swinging pendulum, the in-breathing and out-breathing of all living things All exemplify God's one law of rhythmic balanced interchange. Any deviation from that law in the heartbeat of a man would endanger his continuance. But when there is a rhythmic balanced interchange between the two compression and expansion opposites, man's life continues to function at maximum. Man has free right to choose his own actions, but he must balance those actions with equal and opposite reactions until he learns that God's one law must be obeyed. This God holds inviolate. The whole purpose of life is to learn how to manifest God in truth and the law. The lesson is a hard one, but man himself makes it hard by his unknowing of the law. As man gradually knows his purpose and the law by knowing God in him, life becomes more and more beautiful, and man more powerful in his manifestations of power. Man's power lies in giving. He must learn to give as nature gives. Each half a cycle eternally gives to the other half for re-giving. Nature forever unfolds into many for the purpose of refolding into one. Each individual must manifest this universal law. The desire of some so-called apron string parents to run their children's lives for them, often claiming that they have sacrificed their very own lives for them, are taking from their children, not giving. They are taking away the initiative children need to complete their own cycles. They must live their own lives for themselves. Man must know the principle of creation, giving between each interchanging opposite half of each cycle for the purpose of repeating its giving. It is universal law, and each individual must manifest this law. Man will forever war with man until he learns to give his all with the full expectation of equal receiving, and never taking that which is not given as an earned reward for his giving. And a caption from the Divine Iliad. All things are one, but made to appear as two extensions of the centered one. Know thou that the two extensions of my recorded thinking are divided by the one which centers the two, the one balancing the two, the one controlling the two. I, the one, am not divided into two, as pairs of opposites of me. I divide the two extensions of my thinking, but I am not my thinking, nor am I two. When man thinketh man alone, denying me, then is man's image man's, not mine and man's, for the pattern of my balanced rhythmic images within man may not be seen in him, nor may the glory of my light be seen in him or known by him. When man thinketh me through knowing me, then is he patterned by my image, and I am he. When man thinketh me in him, then is man's balance absolute. When man so thinketh, then hath he all power that I, thy father, mother, thinker of creation hath. From the Divine Iliad. Chapter 4, The Source of Power. God, the Creator, is power. There is no other power. All energy lies within the stillness of the one magnetic light of God. God is mind, the intelligence of the universe, and God's mind is one idea, which God knows as one whole idea. And God's mind is desire to give creative expression to that one idea by thinking it into parts. Desire in the light of mind is the power quality of mind. Desire is the soul of mind, the will of mind. God expresses the desire of mind to manifest his idea by creating this electric wave universe. This electric universe is the sole product of God's mind. All product of God or man is the result of desire of mind to create product. The power to create product is in mind. It is not in the product. Product has no power in itself to produce itself. The assumption that product has power within itself to produce itself is another of man's illusions, which have deceived the senses of man during these early days of his unfolding. It is as though the architect gave to his cathedral the power of creating itself. The cathedral is an expression of desire of the architect to give form to the idea of his knowing. The power to create the idea is in the knowing. The idea of the cathedral already exists. The eyes of the spirit can see its spiritual image as clearly as the eyes of the body can sense it in stone as product of his knowing. The expression of power to create the idea as product lies in the electric action of his thinking at rest in the light of mind, into the two lights of waves of motion which simulate that idea. As servant of mind, electricity gives moving forms to the idea by performing the work necessary to produce it. The power to thus produce does not lie in electricity nor in motion. It lies in desire of mind only. Without that desire, creation could not be. Without desire of mind in man, his power to create could not be. Mind is light at rest. Desire of mind is expressed through waves of light in motion. The expression of power in waves is not power. All of the power of the ocean is in its stillness, whether expressed or not. Likewise, all of the power of light is in the stillness of its knowing, whether expressed by light waves or not. All expressions of energy spring from rest, seek a point of rest, and return to a condition of rest. The power of a moving lever is not in the lever nor in its motion. It is in the stillness of its fulcrum from which it borrows its ability to manifest the power of its fulcrum. God is the fulcrum of man and of the universe. Neither man nor any moving thing in the universe has power within himself to do anything. All power expressed by man must be extended directly from the Father in heaven to his Father-Mother lights of earth and heavens, which manifest him. The mechanical principle by means of which power is expressed by the Creator is in the light waves of two-way motion, which record his two-way thinking. Waves are two-way cycles which are divided equally to express the two desires of mind to create form images of mind imagining, and to destroy those forms sequentially for reforming. Waves of motion spring from the stillness of the universal equilibrium. They are the universal heartbeat which manifests eternal life and power in God's stillness by eternal repetitions of simulated life and power as expressed in waves of motion. Waves of motion express the power of desire for unbalance and motion which is in light at rest, and they also express the opposite desire for balance and rest which is in motion. Desire in the one light of mind is positive. Its expression in the two lights of opposed motion is negative. Every expression of power in nature is negated by its opposite expression. The senses are limited to the perception of but one of these negations at a time, and then only in small fractions of whole cycles. If the senses could record the whole of each cycle both ways, they would record stillness, not motion, for every action would be voided by its oppositely flowing reaction. And a caption from the Divine Iliad. For I have ordained that the father-mother of my image stage, its players and its motions become an equal to extension retraction of my light. An equal to must be an equal to, for desire of each to outbalance each would upset my spatial stage and all the father-mother offspring of my stage. Therefore I have set a measure in my high heavens to balance each with each, that each might have its all, but not one with more, nor lose aught, nor gain one with more. Wherefore I, the one, watcher over all my creating pairs of father-mothered things, with my two measuring eyes to balance that which fathers my universe with that which mothers it. And as my sexed electric universe is two, so also must its watchful measuring eyes be two, centered by another one, from which the two extend and seem to move as that mirage expression of my thinking seems to move. From the Divine Iliad.